Can remember what I've talked about, what I remembered to say, and what I didn't.
That's fine.
Okay. So, thank you so much for calling. I've been having quite a lot of disappointments in trying to deal with code enforcement.
Okay, so I kind of went through your email. It was a very long email. But the most important thing, so you're still having issues at the location, right?
Yes, there are still lots of issues at the location. I don't know if you got the update about they had been working on a hoarding house next door to me that I had reported to them in October, and I'd called animal control about that place, and so had many other people. And this weekend, in spite of all of our efforts to get the animals saved, a mother dog died, leaving puppies with that were not weaned, and they had to be rescued. And then another dog had to be pulled out of there. And the thing is, animal control had been called countless times, and code enforcement was on the property routinely, supposedly monitoring cleaning up of the hoard, and it's still a horrible mess with rats and a pool filled with algae and mosquitoes and these dogs that had been starving. And when I referred Gwen Williams over there of code enforcement, I let her know there seems to be some mental health issues, and please check on the well being of the dogs because we weren't able to get results with animal control. So with them visiting the property regularly and not having got animal control back out there and having having what happened this weekend happen, and then looking over the fence when that happened and seeing the state that the house is still in with all the debris, with the algae filled pool with mosquitoes and starving animals, and just all kinds of clutter and junk and electronics, and knowing too that a child visits that home, I thought, what on earth is code enforcement doing? you know
So,
that
unfortunately, I'm sure you're aware. I mean, there's current constraints we have. So, a lot of times, if we don't have permission to be on the property, we're not able just to go in and correct violations. So that could be some of the constraints. I don't know exactly what's going on with the neighbor's house. I honestly have not looked that one up. I'm kind of going off of your email right now.
Well,
Um,
she's been on the property because she told me so, and they did make him take, like, he had this like circus tent tarp that covered the entire yard, and
uh-huh.
they did make him remove that. And she told me that he was supposed to get rid of a fire pit, and that if it was used again, that I should call her. And so I know she said they were working with him and they'd been on the property. So I don't think it's a matter of they didn't have access to the.
And I don't know. I don't know because I don't know which property you're talking about. I'm only calling about yours right
Okay.
now. Um, some of your stuff in your email, you said you still had some issues at the property. So what I wanted to do was set up an appointment time. I know you're busy to have Gwen head out there with Matt Van Fleet.
Is it possible to have someone other than Gwen? Because Gwen has been retaliatory towards me and hostile towards me. And I would just prefer to, work with someone else.
Okay, I can send John Pooch out there. Have you worked with him yet?
Yes, I've worked with John Prooch. My major issue with John Prooch is he won't wear his mask properly. It's always hanging off his nose.
Okay, I can ensure that he's wearing his mask properly. I just want to make sure you're
But
okay with
you
him
said that
going.
the guy Matt could come out. Can you just have Matt come out?
I'm not going to send Matt alone. I'm going to send Matt with somebody else. So is it okay if I send Matt and John Pooch?
Is there anybody else? I've had the people that I've had over here, and I haven't really been pleased with any of them. I've had Tim Saladay, and I think you saw the video. Did you see the video of that?
So the link keeps taking me to like a Google OneDrive.
I think that's how it's sent. You need me to
Yeah,
send it to you in another
and
format?
it keeps telling me to log in. So I'm
Oh,
not comfortable logging in and doing all that. So I didn't get to watch the video, your photos. I mean, if I click on them, sometimes some of them come up, some of them don't.
mm-hmm.
Um, so maybe if you can send it in another format if you're able to. If not,
Can you
I
tell
can,
me what format would work? I'm not sure how to.
um, maybe an MP, well, I don't know. I mean, a video format, something where I don't have to log in, I guess, more so as like an attachment.
Can you use a YouTube? I don't know what to do about the photographs, but for video, can you use YouTube?
I can use YouTube. Yeah.
Okay, I will send me an email requesting the YouTube links as a reminder so that I have your email address, and I will respond with the YouTube link to the video. And as far as the photographs, you can't do it with a shared Google link or with like it was like a no, it shouldn't come out as a OneDrive. That's something. Oh, can you try it from a different computer? It's probably the city computer issue because it should be coming up as a. It's on.
Yeah, I wouldn't feel comfortable using my own personal computer. I have to
It's
use the city computer.
it's a or talk to your technician because as I remember, I made albums on Google Drive.
Right, and it's the Google Drive that's not letting me. It wants me to log in.
Oh, you don't. Your city doesn't use a Google account, so
No, we don't.
so I'll have to figure out another way.
The reason I want to kind of call you, if you're able to, that's great. I guess, but the reason I want to give you a call was to get something set up. I can send Matt out there, and if you don't want John Cruz, that's fine. I can send. Have you dealt with Alex Martinez?
No, I have not dealt with Alex, so Alex can come out. That'd be great. It'd be great to have. Matt's been out, but I never had any problem with Matt.
Okay, so I'm going to send those two out. What's your schedule like? What's tomorrow? Thursday? Thursday.
Tomorrow I have midterms, and then Friday I got to go to Davis. So Monday would probably be the soonest I would be available.
Let me make sure they are both here. What I'll do is I'll follow up with them. Is any time Monday okay, or do you have a preference on time?
I really prefer that they come first thing in the morning so that I can go about my day.
Is 9 a.m. okay?
8 or 9 would be great. Yeah.
Okay, because they might have some things to take care of in the office before they head out that are a little bit time sensitive. So if I can get them to do 9, I just want to make sure that will work with you.
Yeah, and is there somebody that you can consult with in your tech support to find out what format that photographs can be sent in? Because the file size is too large to like.
Is it big?
Yeah, there's a lot. Well, there's a lot of them. I mean, there's a lot of issues going on, so there's a lot of photos.
Yeah, and the crazier thing is that every time, and I've even forwarded your emails to my captain, even when we're on your email, our computers freeze up and they shut down. And I don't know if it has to do with those links or not.
I think it's because the file size is too large. Because
is that why?
yeah, because there was video. I was just trying to send somebody something just now, and it bounced back, and it said my file size was too large. And so that's what I was going to see if you could talk to someone in technical support because, the other thing I could do is put them on a thumb drive and give them to you.
Let me see if I can follow up with someone in IT, and as long as it doesn't involve us signing in or anything like that, the issue is that I avoid the email thread because every time I click on it, like my computer starts freezing up.
It's probably because it's got too much, the file size is too large.
Probably. And like I said, I did the same thing to my deputy chief, and she's like, I can't open it, my computer's freezing up right now.
You guys need to upgrade your computers too. You don't have enough memory to handle it. So what I need to know is if you could talk to your IT guy to figure out how can we send you photos and video. It sounds like what you really need is a link to the video. And I'm not that social media savvy to know how to share photos. So I guess maybe I should just retake videos, take them as videos, and then upload them to YouTube. Does the city let you watch YouTube links?
We're allowed to use YouTube, yeah.
So maybe that's what I need to do is upload it to YouTube.
Let me try this. Let me contact IT and see if I can get someone out here to look at the email and see if it doesn't freeze up for them or if we can figure out a way how to get them downloaded.
Yeah, because when you through university, when college is like everybody's using Google Docs, Google Drive, and the city kind of needs to be.
We use SharePoint. We use OneDrive.
Yeah, well, a lot of people don't use OneDrive. You kind of need to be cross-platform compatible.
Yeah,
and you probably aren't.
And it's a security thing too, because we shouldn't really be signing into something else that. Not to say you're setting up a virus, but we got to be very careful.
No, I understand. It's just that, the OneDrive costs money and Google is free. So if you're dealing with the public, you're not going to be able to communicate with a lot of people that depend on Google Drive.
else has typically been able to attach them to an email or make them a smaller size so I can get them. So this is like the first time it's ever happened, and I've never had it where an email crashes the entire computer.
That's weird.
It's very odd, but I'll get that figured out. So I'm
Okay.
gonna go ahead and contact Alex and Matt and see if 9 a.m. on Monday the 22nd
Okay.
works, and then I'll follow up in an email just saying, hey, just to confirm.
Yeah, and then as far as like, there's a couple other things. The building inspector,
Uh-huh.
um, he did his follow up inspection virtually instead of coming out, and that's kind of like the fox guarding the hen house. We already have somebody that had to have code enforcement involved to be told that he had to make repairs, and then they didn't come out and they just trusted him. And I was here and took video when the building inspector did his walkthrough, and the some of the things that I know that he said were not fixed, and some of the other things I've tried to get clarification on from Mr. Newell's supervisor John. I can't remember what his name is, but I'm getting frustrated at being mansplained. Like I said, hey, what were the specific violations? And he's like, well, look at the thing that was pulled. It's like, hey, wait a minute, like, you guys didn't even bother to come out to do your follow-up inspection with somebody that's known to not do what they're supposed to. And then you're treating me like I'm the bad guy just because I'm trying to find out what's happening, and, just being dismissive. And he won't answer me. And the thing, I'll have to, let me double check the email, but he, like, when the building inspector came by, he was very nice, he was very thorough, and he said that I don't know if you're familiar with knob and tube wiring.
I leave that up to the building department. Very, very limited on that one.
Okay, well, I spent 8 months as an electrician apprentice, and I took a National Electrical Code class at Laney College, so I know a little bit. And it's a code violation, and it's a fire hazard to splice Romex into the wiring system that's from the 1890s. And, they stopped using it in the 1930s. So, like, the electrical system and parts of my house are over 100 years old, and they're not grounded. And there's also a lot of abandoned wire that was supposed to be taken care of. And there's plumbing that's not strapped into the wall. It's like falling down. And these things, Mr. Newell told him that he was supposed to take care of the abandoned wire. He told him that he was supposed to replace the metal fixture with a porcelain one. And these changes did not happen. And because then there was something mentioned too about there was a change in the code. Like, he talked to his supervisor, and so that they were going to do things differently. And so clearly they were talking about the code, and it's not mentioned on the permit. And I wanted them to, give me a more complete, respectful answer about what exactly were the violations, he said there were deficiencies that needed to be corrected, and they corrected them. I'm like, well, that's not an answer. I said, what deficiencies were there, that needed to be corrected? And, how do you know they were corrected since nobody came out here? Because I have, in one of my rooms, the wires hum. They hum constantly. And so now I finally, after having them inspect, I finally have an answer. It's because they're ungrounded. And, I want to have these things addressed, in addition to the leaking through the walls and stuff. So, yeah, it'd be nice if before Matt and who did you say the other guy was?
Alex?
Before Matt and Alex come out, could you have your tech support people call me so that we can figure out how we can get these photos and videos to you?
They won't call you. This is our IT persons are for the personnel. This is our inner department, like our city system.
Could you at least get in?
They have to show them the email, and they have to figure out why it won't download. And if it's a security issue and they're saying no, I can't sign in, it's not going to happen. Then
that's not the issue. The issue is having them tell me what format I should send them in so that you can download them.
It's just a JPEG, just a straight JPEG. And if the files are too large, I'm sure there's software out there that can make it into smaller sizes.
Right. I need to know what to use.
Just put them into a Word doc, and that usually will take care of the size.
I don't have Word. I have Google Docs. So you're going to end up with the same thing because it's going to be a Google Doc.
so you don't write anything in Word, Microsoft.
No.
Yeah, I'm not too concerned about that part. I'm more concerned about just addressing whatever complaints you have out there, because at the end of the day, the code officers are going to take their own photos, and that's what we're essentially going to go off of, is whatever their evidence is. So if you're showing them the same thing that you're going to have in these photos, they should be taking the same pictures of what you have.
Well, it didn't rain lately, so the photos of the flooding have to be taken after a rain.
Oh, okay. So how many of those photos do you have?
Bunches of them.
Have you sent those photos to Gwen at all?
Yeah, I think she probably had the same problem opening them, but she didn't tell me. She just ignores my emails.
Okay.
She doesn't respond to any of my emails.
Let me. That part of it, like I said, if it's the flooding part, what are some other things that might not show in the photos if they go back out there?
I think that's the electrical. You have to test the wires to find out if they're live or not. Somebody actually has to come out here with a tester to know which ones are abandoned, which ones aren't.
Okay, and then, but you wouldn't have that in a photo anyhow, correct?
You can't really demonstrate that in a photo, but you can see that the wires are just all jumbled up and hanging in ways that are not appropriate. There's, wires are supposed to be, I think, I don't remember exactly what the code says, but like something like every 3 feet, they're supposed to be tacked down. They're not supposed to be just hanging. There's proper ways to mount, to hang wires, and they're just all sloughed all over like, Christmas tree garland,
Definitely have your list ready to go when they go out there on Monday so they can make note of everything.
Okay, and then there's other issues. Okay, there's a couple other issues that came up. It turns out that my electric meter powers a back building that belongs to my landlord, and the control panel for my garage is in his building that I don't have access to. So he shut off my electric to my garage the other day, so I couldn't get my car out when he and I were due to appear in court. And the panel that was in that back building, when the building inspector did his inspection, he didn't know of the existence of that panel. So it was not included in the inspection, even though it's part of, the wiring to the space that I occupy.
And some of that, like I said, when Alex and Matt go out there, some of it is going to it may consist of following up with the building department on certain items.
Uh-huh.
So
And
that is something. Go ahead.
And then there's other issues with adjacent neighboring properties with because we have there's a city code about buildings that are a nuisance because they become habitat for animals. And we have a building that's got, great big cracks in it. We've got a couple of them that have, big cracks in it, and they've become, 2-story rat fortresses that create problems for the whole neighborhood because they're just these huge rat habitats because these holes aren't plugged. And part of the reason that the dogs next door may have been sick, we have a tick infestation over here because the rats bring ticks, fleas, mites, and diseases. These diseases not only are transmissible to the dogs, but they're transmissible to me. And, so these rats, like, I understand rats are wild animals and they're everywhere, but we do have a city code to address a public nuisance in a building that has become derelict and neglected and become a habitat for rats. And so, these holes and these issues, both in my landlord's property and in neighboring properties, needs to be addressed because it's affecting the whole neighborhood.
And I completely understand that.
And like I reported this back in October and nothing's been done.
So has there been any issues? I mean, I've kind of read the case history for a little bit with delaying the property owner from doing any of the repairs.
No, the landlord has been saying that because he knows that the one reason that he can try to evict me, because he has to find a just cause, he's trying to retaliate, is to say that somehow I'm delaying the repairs. And he will... I'm sorry, what?
You didn't call the police on him one time?
I did call the police on him. He was threatening. He was like, and actually what happened was I knew not to have him around my property. And I asked him, and by our lease, he's supposed to give me 48 hours notice to allow me to move things. He had me vacate the entire second floor. He needed access to the entire second floor. And what he will do to try to justify himself to say, oh, she's not giving me access, he puts the entire infraction for code enforcement, everything that needs to be done that obviously can't be done in one day, and he puts it on the notice and says he needs to do that. So he needs access to every window in the house, every electrical outlet in the house, every vent in the house, basically so that you would have to move your furniture into the center of every single room. And he basically, there's no way you can meet the what the notice says, because if you move something in one direction, you block something on the other side. Okay. So the requests have been deliberately unreasonable, and code enforcement has been very biased in favor of the landlord and would not allow me to make an explanation. They're just trying to rush through everything, and they say, well, there's a notice here and you didn't comply with the notice, therefore you're preventing him from doing the work. I'm like, you haven't even read the notice. It's completely unreasonable to expect that everything in the entire, he's basically asking the house to be vacant, and if the house is not vacant, you're not in compliance.
Let me ask you this. So did you let him complete anything on that list?
He's completed almost everything on the list. He's never been denied access. Okay. The problem is not everything was put on the list, and the bigger problem is that he was given too much time. There were weeks that he didn't come around. He didn't even try to come around. He just they just let him slide, and they would say things like, then when he came around, he wasn't working on it appropriately because he's not a professional, and he did not plug the holes that the rats were coming in, and was spending all his time trying to put out rat traps without plugging the holes. So it was like a never-ending battle. There's no way you'll ever finish that task if you don't plug the holes. So because code enforcement would not communicate respectfully with me and listen to what I was saying, and the repairs dragged out, and they would say things like, well, he's from out of town. Well, you have to understand he's working alone. I'm saying he's only coming for like 4 hours or 2 hours every 2 weeks. They said, well, he's doing some work. He's making progress. I said that, that's not adequate, because you've got me here living in an uninhabitable condition, and he's not even making an attempt to make the repairs. And I frequently and increasingly criticized Gwen Miller about not enforcing, not requiring him to be here. She said, well, maybe he has another job. She just would continually volunteer excuses for why the landlord wasn't here on a regular basis to complete the repairs. And then, he would do something like, for example, there was an electrical extension cord that was tucked against a wall. And then I saw him actually have it on video where he pulls the electrical extension cord away from the wall and photographs it and says, this was in my way, when he just moved it into his way himself, just so that he could try to make an excuse. Do you follow me?
I hear you.
So he's just been creating, trying to make it look like everything is my fault. Like there's nothing in here that I caused. And code enforcement said that in the beginning. I didn't cause any of these repairs. He went to court and he had his attorney try to say that all of the damages that exist on the property were my fault. Code enforcement never said any of the conditions that exist here were my fault. So he's trying to bill me for all the work that he did that were stuff that he had to do. Like, how did I have anything to do with wiring that's from the 1890s? Good luck with that. But and then code enforcement, because of their bias, when they would come over, they would let the landlord talk, and I would try to defend myself or give an explanation, and I was never given a voice. I was just told to be quiet and to shut up, basically. And if I tried to say that's not the case, they'd say, you're arguing and we're not here to mediate and we're not going to help you. It's like, well, why don't you talk to us separately then, But they would only listen to the landlord and not listen to me. And so, for example, I had to pay someone to repair my the hot water on my sink because the landlord said that I did it. And she said, well, I have to listen to his explanation. I said, but his explanation doesn't make any sense. They wouldn't let me, defend myself. So,
Defend yourself?
huh? Gwen Miller. And like, for example, one time I made a mistake and I said, well, while you're here, let's check this light fixture because as I remember, this light fixture doesn't work. I had a friend get some light bulbs and they were standing in front of the light, so we couldn't put the light bulbs in it. And when they put the light bulbs in it, it worked. And I said, oh, I was mistaken. And the landlord had accused me. He said, because your bookshelf is near the light fixture, you must have shoved your bookshelf into it and you broke the light fixture. And I said, well, the light fixture apparently is not broken. And I said, Gwen, can you verify? She said, no, the light fixture is broken. And then she told him to remove the light bulb from the light fixture because I was just making problems because I said that the light fixture was broken and it wasn't broken. But so now she was going to count it as broken and hold me responsible for it. That's how petty it got. And I do have that on video. I'll have to look for it. But, it was just like she called the police on me the other day because she came in unannounced with the landlord. And when she came in, she said, Julia, can he have access to every single outlet in the whole house right now? I said, the entire second floor is available and most of the first floor. And it will be difficult for me to get everything ready, on the first floor because he just finished work on the second floor and I need to put everything that, was moved down from the second floor that's on the first floor now to get it out of the way so that, he has access. So, when he finishes the second floor, I can put this stuff back up there so that he has room. And she said, oh no, we're not going to do that because he put it on the notice and you don't have everything ready. And I'm just done with this and I'm not here to mediate for you two. And she said, come on, Pat, you don't have to do any work on